going to be able to hear me? Good. Hey, what a nice turnout. Before I get started, and I got my boys come up here, just a reminder for anybody that might have cell phones on, please turn them off. So that who's ever up here talking, we don't get a whack, whack, whack or something going on. For those of you who don't know me, and there's always somebody here, I don't get around to see everybody all the time. I'm Don Mullett. I'm Chairman and CEO of Bradley Corporation. The company started in 1921. I'm fourth generation, and my boys represent 5 generations, 91 years of doing business in the Milwaukee area and out here in the Menominee Falls. Welcome to all of you. And this is kind of an exciting time for our company, a new facility, but also it's important and an exciting time for our family. And what we've seen here in the last year or so, getting this facility in place, is due in part by our government and our governor's office and lieutenant governor's office, who were involved in getting this job through the process. And we talked a little bit about it when we were talking to the board, how important it was for the governor's office and the lieutenant governor's office to be involved in what we were doing. The side benefit is what we're able to do here is something that's going to help us all in the future, but we're going to have new jobs here as time grows, new people, new products, and it's an important part for not only for our company and our family, but for the state of Wisconsin. I mean, it's a wonderful thing for our company. I'd like to take a moment to introduce my 3 boys who are active and involved in the business. And I'm going to start with my youngest child, my child of wonderment. When he was growing up, we never really knew what he was doing. Christopher is our Southeastern Regional Sales Manager for the plumbing side of our business, which is mostly over in Menominee Falls. My middle boy, Eric, he's Vice President of Sales for the product lines that are being sold in here and also the products down in Ohio. And finally, my oldest boy, Brian, he's recently been appointed President of the corporation, and we're very proud of all 3 of our boys. And I'd like Brian to come up and make the formal introduction to Governor Scott Walker. Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone.
Thank
you for being here and celebrating a huge milestone for Bradley Corporation. It's a big day for the family, for all the employees, the officers of the company, and our community. I always get often asked the question of what makes it so successful and why are you so successful in your age that you are? And I contribute to 3 things. And the 3 things are: the first thing is people, the second thing is people, and the third thing is people. And the people is what drives this business, what makes the company is what it is today, and makes it great. All of our teams, from all the employees that work on the floor every day, to the people in the office, but also to the officers of the company. And I'd like to introduce another team that helped put this building together, and that is Gary Zimmerman and his team from Zimmerman Design Group, Jim Parks and his team from Berghammer Construction, Dean Walter from the village of Germantown, Washington County Economic Development, the DNR, Mike Lazinski from Wisconsin Economic Development, State Representative Dan Knodel, who's here today. And I'd also like to take a moment to introduce our board of directors, starting with my mother, Barbara Mullett, Ernie Hoffman from San Diego, California, Mike Sipek, our Chief Operating Officer. Jim Fife from Phoenix, Arizona. John Klutchka, former CFO. And Larry Stover. Larry Stover was instrumental and was the right hand actually with me in designing and getting involved when we started this project a couple years ago actually and broke ground. But Larry was the guy that was the lead behind all of this and really did a fabulous job for the employees, a major achievement, major upgrade, and also give us an opportunity to grow for future generations of employees and families. Further ado, it is a great pleasure to introduce the person who is paving the way for Wisconsin, a nationally recognized leader of fiscal responsibility and business leadership, Governor Walker.
Well, thank you all. Thank you most importantly for this great project, because this investment, not just in infrastructure, it's investment, Brian, as you mentioned, in the people of Bradley Corporation. And so for all the employees and for those that came over for this, first off, I just want to say thank you. What an honor it is to be here. I did have to chuckle. My father's a retired minister, and I've got two sons, not three, like Don does. And I was thinking that watching Christopher and Eric and Brian as your dad was talking, and I thought you had that same look I sometimes have when my dad starts to talk about his sons, because you never quite know where it's going to go. But Don, you were good, so that was good, but I always get that flinch for a moment when I don't know what Dad's going to say next about me or my brother David. So for those of you who saw a couple weeks ago at Victory Night, I turned and looked at my sons, who I started to call boys, and I had to realize they're not boys anymore, they're young men, but they're always going to be boys to Tonette and I. And what I love about Bradley Corporation, there are many great things, but is to have, like so many great companies in this state, multi-generational family-owned businesses, in this case, fifth generation involvement, 91-year tradition in this state, but equally is not just the family in terms of one generation to the next, but what I find in companies like Bradley is that it's not just the family, it's that they in turn the management treats their employees like family. And that's what makes it so special to be in a company like this, in a great state like this. And our state is filled. It's filled with companies that are multi-generational, family-owned businesses with the kind of legacy of the 91 years. Not many that approach quite the 91-plus years, but many that are approaching that. And for that kind of commitment and growth here, to be in Menominee Falls, to now be growing in Germantown, I see not only State Representative Dan Canoto, but State Senator Alberta Darling, who's invested in interest in this area, along with the village leadership. This is just a great opportunity, and for us, part of a partnership to try and show. We had a sign when I first won, not the last time around, but the first time on November 2nd of 2010, in a podium like this. A lot of times at election nights, you see candidates across the country, they put their name on the front. They put the campaign sign up or something like that. And that night, we chose to put something different up. Instead of my name, there was nothing with my name on the podium or the backup. It just said, Wisconsin is open for business. And the reason we wanted to say that was to send a clear and convincing message, particularly not just to employers from outside of our state, but to those here, that things were changing. That things were changing. The legislature think we stepped up and helped us along the way, but we've changed the business climate in the state so employers like Bradley can grow, can expand, can take the risk of putting this kind of investment, have a board of directors that's willing to see fit to follow through on that as well, but to make a commitment that says we're here, and we're not only here, but we want to grow here. Looking at some of the new product line, thinking of the tradition, which all of you see on the way in, but thinking from the starting foundation and parts of the Bradley Corporation and the great impetus to where you're at with the new product line today. And I got a kick at it. I'm used to seeing those air things on the side. It's kind of nice to be able to do soap, water, and then do your hands all at the same time. But to us, it's not just a commitment in the product, it's a commitment into the people We're going to make that here in the state of Wisconsin, right here in Germantown, southeastern Wisconsin. More than 400 plus employees in this part of the state. A good chunk of all the employees that you have in the nation right here in southeastern Wisconsin. We're absolutely thrilled with that. And our response in return is not just to say thank you and to be here for ribbon cuttings, but say we're going to continue to make it easier for you and your team and all the employees here to continue to create jobs. You know, for us, we appreciate, 2 years ago when I was running for governor, there was a survey done of all the employers in the state of Wisconsin. You know how many thought we were heading the right direction at that point in 2010? 10%. Just 10% of our employers thought we were heading the right direction. That same survey was conducted earlier this year. You know what the number is now? 94% of our employers. Now, of course, I'm competitive. I want to know what's wrong with the other 6%, what I need to do to convince them. But you see that. You see that similarly. I was talking on the way over. I'm going to do later a little thing for CNBC that they're going to highlight on competition versus states. And we like competition. But for years, we didn't talk a whole lot about it in Wisconsin because on most of the rankings, in terms of the best and the worst states to do business in, we were in the bottom 10. In fact, 2 years before I was governor, we were 43. The year before, I was governor at 41. Last year, we moved up 17 spots, and just a few months ago, actually a month and a half ago, we moved up into the top 20 for the first time ever in terms of the rankings of Chief Executive Magazine. Now, part of that is because of what we did to change the business climate in the state, but we're not just going to sit back and let that be enough. We got to do even more. Because we know even though the unemployment rate in our state is the lowest it's been since 2008, at just under 7%, it's still too high. And that means there's too many of our friends, too many of our neighbors, too many coworkers, too many family members and others who are still looking for work. And the best way we do that is not through more government, it's by government being a great partner. It's why I'm pleased to be here today. It's why Rebecca Clayfish, our Lieutenant Governor, has been a great ambassador for businesses across the state. It's why our cabinet is committed to say, you know, whether it's the DNR or anywhere else, we want to fight for clean air, clean land, clean water. But we understand that's what our employers want. That's what the people of the state want. And the best way to get there is work with employers up front so that you can move projects like this around in a rapid pace to put more people to work, to send a message to other employers that here's a company with a 91-year tradition that's investing in the state of Wisconsin because this is a good place to do business in. We need to continue to send that message, and the best way we do it is by being a good partner, by getting the barriers out of the way to let the employers of the state put more people to work. And when we do, it's not just about business, it's about improving the quality of life for all of our citizens. If more people are working in more jobs, like the jobs here at Bradley and others like that around the state, our state's just going to be better. Our people are going to be better, our communities are going to be better, our children, most importantly, are going to be better looking ahead to the future. And that's what this is really all about. So I just want to end by end the same way I started with, and that is by saying thank you. Thank you not just to the management. Certainly appreciate when I think about that tradition, 91 years of companies all across the state who made a vested interest not just in being here, but in expanding and growing here. First and foremost, I want to say thank you for that commitment to the state of Wisconsin. But along with that, I want to say thank you to the workforce here. Because one of the reasons why we're great, one of the reasons why we're literally, when it comes to manufacturing, we're one of the states that has the biggest percentage of our total economy focused on manufacturing. It's because of the skill of our workforce. It's because of people who work in companies like this who are well-trained, well-prepared, dedicated to their company and to their communities and to their state. And ultimately, we need to make sure we continue that. One of the things I'd ask from all of you here today in the workforce is help us spread the message. Because the biggest challenge I hear from employers across the state is not that there's not enough work, that there's not enough skilled workers to fill the jobs that are open today. Somewhere along the line, the last 20 years or so, things change in our schools and change in our society. People don't often have the same appropriate focus on the importance, particularly for young people going into careers in manufacturing. We need your help. I need your help, because I can talk about it all the time, but the best people who can inspire young people, can inspire the parents, can inspire guidance counselors in schools, are people who work in careers in manufacturing to talk about not just being jobs, but being careers with good pays and good environment. When you look at a place like this, it's a great place to work in. It's an exciting place to work in, not only in terms of the physical structure, but in terms of the commitment to the workforce And that's the sort of thing we've got to get more young people in particular interested in pursuing it. Because if we get ahead of the curve, if we get more people trained with the skills needed to take on the jobs we have available today, we'll lead the nation when it comes to recovery. Because just about every state in America is searching for skilled workers. We just want to be at the forefront of doing that. You all can help us make that happen. So thank you to the management. Thank you to the workforce. We're a great state. We're filled, as I mentioned, with multi-generational family-owned businesses, with great employees, with tremendous natural resources. We're the only state in America surrounded by 2 Great Lakes and the greatest river in the U.S. We're filled with 15,000 in the lakes, as I like to tell my friends in Minnesota. That's 5,000 more than the land of 10,000 lakes, and all of ours have fishing. So it's a pretty good state to be in. What I found traveling the state first as a candidate, and now as the last year and a half as your governor, is we're a state where I'm just so honored every day to visit factories, and farms, and small businesses, and to meet moms and dads just like Tonette and I, who go to work and work hard every day, not just for a paycheck, not just to put food on the table or clothes on the backs of our kids. I find moms and dads, like many of you here today, and maybe even some grandmas and grandpas before us, who ultimately go to work and work hard every day for the same reason Tonette and I do, and that is because we want our kids to have a better life than we did. We want our kids to grow up in a better home, in a better community, and ultimately a better state. That's where the real courage is. It doesn't come in politics. It comes in the parents and people all across the state who work hard every day to make sure our kids have a little bit better life than the one we inherited. And that's exactly what you're doing here. Thank you for letting me be a part of it. It's my honor.
Thank you, Governor Walker. We appreciate everything you do for us. Okay, now what we'd like to do is the ribbon cutting. I'd like to have Eric and Christopher and my father and Governor Walker step forward, and we'll do the ribbon cutting.